Hello everyone, welcome to a new video on the channel where we once again return to the southwest of Queensland. Instead of seeing a whole lot of coal trains, we'll be getting to see a nice variety of movements with the star of the show and main part of the video being an operational steam locomotive transfer movement between the Downs Explorer and Queensland Rail taking place on the 3-foot and 6-inch gauge West Moreton System in Queensland, Australia. So without further ado, let's begin. Welcome to the Cairns Railfan. It's a rather early start for train spotting as we find ourselves set up on Bridge Street in Toowoomba, where I was awaiting the departure of a ballast train. It turns out I was mistaken and the ballast train had already left long before, but before leaving I did manage to see a grain train pass through. Watco Australia WRA classes WRA 001 and WRA 002 are on the lead of this train, comprising 42 empty grain wagons headed south on service 6E38, which after clearing Toowoomba will be on the southwestern system instead of the West Moreton system. Watco Australia is fairly new to the Queensland rail scene, having popped up in the state during 2019, with the group being formed in 2010 as a subsidiary of Watco, which operates trains in the United States of America, where their subsidiary ordered 8 of the WRA class locomotives for Queensland operations from the National Railway Equipment Company in the US under the NRECE 2250cc model designation. The service that we'll be seeing before we get around to the steam train chase is the ballast train movement I was talking about earlier. We find ourselves at Grandchester at the Rosewood-Laidley Road level crossing, east of Toowoomba on the West Moreton System. This eastbound ballast service reporting as 06B2 is out this morning on rail maintenance duties with Queensland Rail 2900 Class, 2906 on the front and 2904 on the rear, with 11 ballast wagons and a ballast plough in between. The 2900 classes are relatively new additions to the Queensland Rail diesel locomotive fleet, being a new class in the long line of similar-looking diesel locomotives known as the Clydes, with the 2900 class being rebuilt from previous Clyde diesel locomotives, with the existence of 6 currently being known, where the first entered service in 2022, with the locomotives mostly wearing brand new Queensland Rail liveries not seen before. 2906 and 2904 were rebuilt from the 2400 class design under the EMD GL22 C-2 model designation. 2906 still wears its previous grey livery from service with Progress Rail, operating much further north out of Townsville as the PRA class. Similar to the 2700 classes that Horizon now uses, the 2900 classes are also known as Super Clydes. Now it's time for some steam action. We begin on the southwestern system in the Toowoomba city limits, where we await Queensland Rail C17 Class 974 to pass through under operation of Downs Explorer crew, as they have recently been using the locomotive for heritage services in the southwest area. But now it's time for it to return to Queensland Rail themselves, where they will be taking over at Toowoomba Railway Station. 974 was built in 1951 as a part of the 227-strong Queensland Government Railway C17 Class fleet, built from 1920 to 1953 with a 480 wheel configuration. It will be passing by here with a water tank wagon, and Downs Explorer's DH Class locomotive DH45, known as the Spirit of the Southern Downs, built in 1969, is also on the rear of this train to provide the Downs Explorer crew with a means of transport back south to their base of operations in Warwick after the transfer. The train has just pulled into Toowoomba Railway Station, where the transfer now takes place with the Queensland Rail crew taking over and performing a station shunt to couple up to QR's own water wagon, still wearing its 150th anniversary livery from the special trips in 2015. QR will be taking the train back to their workshops east of here at Ipswich. We'll be chasing it as far as Grantham. Back at Bridge Street, like we were in the morning with the grain train, it's time to see 974 depart with the QR water tank wagon on its trip back to Ipswich over the West Moreton System, where we'll be briefly chasing it. It's not a video on Southwest Queensland Rail action without at least one coal train. So here is a Horizon 2700 class 2705 and 2300 class 2308D leading a train of 42 loaded coal wagons over a bridge in Grantham headed east before we end the video. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts below in the comments if you have any. My next video will finally see us back in the far north once again, where we will be chasing the Savannah Lander from Almaden to Cairns during its weekly run during its operating season, but with a twist due to the fact that we will be seeing it on its limited run that week, where it was only going as far as Almaden instead of all the way to Forsyth due to track damage further west because of Cyclone Jasper's effects at the end of 2023. This means we will get to see it doing its trip scheduled 3 hours earlier in the day than usual, which includes it meeting up with the Cairns Scenic Railway, which otherwise would barely ever happen since the Savannah Lander is scheduled around the KSR services under normal circumstances. So I hope you can look forward to that. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.